In our first two classes, we mapped the SSC landscape and learned how to choose the right exam for you. Today we go inside the exam itself and settle the one strategic idea that decides more SSC results than any other: the difference between Tier 1 and Tier 2. Every serious SSC exam runs in these two stages, and here is the sentence to carry through the whole class. Tier 1 only qualifies you, but Tier 2 is what actually selects you. Aspirants who misunderstand this put their energy into the wrong stage and wonder why the rank never comes. So today, we will see exactly how the two stages differ, what each one rewards, how the marking changes between them, and how to prepare for both from a single, smart study plan. Here is what we will settle today. First, the two-stage structure and how the stages connect. Second, Tier 1, the qualifying screen. Third, Tier 2, the merit test that decides the job. 4. What each stage actually rewards. 5th, the crucial difference in negative marking. And 6th, how to prepare for both stages at the same time. Let us begin. Let us start with the shape of the exam, because the whole strategy flows from it. The first stage is Tier 1, a qualifying test whose single job is to clear the enormous crowd of applicants down to a manageable shortlist. Think of it as the doorway, wide, busy, and quick to pass through. Those who clear Tier 1 move to Tier 2, and this is the merit stage, the one that builds the ranking on which selection is based. This is no longer a doorway, this is the arena. And the two together produce the final selection. Tier 1 decides who is allowed to compete. Tier 2 decides who actually wins. Miss the distinction and you will train for the wrong fight. So, the takeaway: two stages, two entirely different jobs. Tier 1 filters the crowd, and Tier 2 decides who is chosen. Everything else in this class is a consequence of that one fact. Let us look closely at Tier 1, the stage everyone meets first. Its format is a fast, wide sweep, 100 objective questions in just 60 minutes, drawn from all 4 subjects: reasoning, general awareness, quantitative aptitude, and English, for 200 marks. A shade over half a minute per question. It is built for speed. But here is the part that reshapes your whole strategy. In the big exams like CGL and CHSL, Tier 1 is now purely qualifying. Its marks do not carry into your final rank at all. It exists only to decide who is good enough and fast enough to reach the real contest. Which means the goal in Tier 1 is not to top it. It is simply to clear it with a comfortable margin and then move on without another thought about the score. So the takeaway: Tier 1 is a 60-minute speed screen whose only job is to let the right people through. Clear it confidently, but never obsess over the number. Now, the stage that actually decides your future, Tier 2. Its format is different in a way that changes everything. The questions are fewer, but each one carries 3 marks instead of 2, so the stakes on every single question rise sharply. This is a deeper, harder, higher value test. The English section grows too. In the biggest exams, it can run to 45 questions, far more than Tier 1 ever asks, and computer knowledge and a data entry or typing test are folded in as qualifying modules. Tier 2 is not a single paper, but a longer, multi-part examination that demands real command right across the board. And its role is decisive. Tier 2 and Tier 2 alone builds the merit list from which candidates are finally selected for posts. Every mark here is a mark that counts toward your rank and your job. So the mindset must shift completely when you reach it. Speed still matters, but it is now in service of depth and accuracy. A careless half-known answer here is far costlier than it ever was in Tier 1. So the takeaway: Tier 2 carries the marks that matter. It is deeper, worth more per question, and it is the real contest. So it deserves the greatest share of your preparation. Let us state the central difference as plainly as possible, because getting it right reshapes how you spend every study hour. Tier 1 filters. Its entire purpose is to decide who is allowed to sit Tier 2, nothing more. Once it has done that, its job is finished and its marks vanish from the reckoning. Tier 2 selects. The rank that decides whether you get a post and which post comes from here and here alone. This is the stage that turns an aspirant into an officer. The classic, heartbreaking mistake is to spend months perfecting Tier 1, chasing a top screening score that counts for nothing, while under-preparing the Tier 2 depth that actually decides selection. So the takeaway: clear Tier 1 comfortably, then pour your real depth into Tier 2, because you are ranked on the stage that selects, not the stage that merely filters. Since the two stages do different jobs, they reward different skills. So let us name them, starting with Tier 1. Tier 1 rewards raw speed. With 100 questions in 60 minutes, you have barely over half a minute each. So quick, confident calculation and instant recall matter more than deep, leisurely analysis. It also rewards selective solving, the art of scanning the paper, grabbing the easy, high-certainty marks first, and calmly skipping the 2 or 3 time-devouring traps that could swallow your minutes. In a speed test, question choice is itself a skill. Put together, Tier 1 rewards accuracy under time pressure. A cool head that moves fast, chooses wisely, and does not panic when a hard question appears. So the takeaway: Tier 1 is won by speed and shrewd question selection, not by scholarship. So train your pace and your instinct for which questions to attempt. Tier 2 asks for almost the opposite virtues, and this is where genuine mastery pays off. It rewards real depth in mathematics, not just arithmetic, but the advanced spine. SSC is famous for algebra, geometry, trigonometry, and mensuration, tested harder than in Tier 1. Shortcuts alone will not carry you. You need to actually understand the concepts. Picture a single Tier 2 geometry question that turns on a circle theorem. If you genuinely understand the theorem, it falls in a line or two. If you only memorized a trick, you stall completely, and at 3 marks with a full mark of negative. That one question can swing 4 marks. Depth is not a luxury in Tier 2, it is the difference between a rank and a near miss. It also rewards a tougher command of English, a heavy vocabulary load, precise grammar, and careful comprehension. And it demands strong, quick recall of general awareness, answered with almost no calculation, but a great deal of stored knowledge. And because each question is worth more, accuracy is prized far above reckless volume. In short, Tier 2 is where the person who truly learned the subjects, rather than merely drilled tricks, finally pulls ahead of the crowd. So the takeaway: Tier 2 is won by genuine depth in maths, English, and awareness, and by accuracy, so build real understanding, not just speed tricks. Now a difference that should physically change how you behave in each exam hall: the negative marking. In Tier 1, a wrong answer costs you half a mark. It is a real penalty, but a modest one, so a well-judged guess between 2 options is often worth the small risk. In Tier 2, a wrong answer costs a full mark. And remember, each question is worth 3 to begin with. So a reckless guess that goes wrong does not just lose you the 3 marks you hoped for, it drags a 4 mark out of your total on top, swinging the gap by 4 marks against you. Accuracy suddenly matters enormously. Play it out across a whole paper. 10 reckless, wrong guesses in Tier 2 cost you 10 full marks of penalty on top of the marks you never earned. Enough, in a tight merit list, to drop you hundreds of ranks. The very same 10 guesses in Tier 1 would have cost only 5 marks and would not have touched your rank at all. The practical lesson is simple: the loose, aggressive guessing that is tolerable in Tier 1 becomes genuinely expensive in Tier 2. So you must slow down and tighten up when the stakes rise. So the takeaway: half a mark off in Tier 1, a full mark in Tier 2. So carry a bolder attempt strategy into Tier 1 and a more careful, accurate one into Tier 2. Finally, the happy news: you do not prepare for these 2 stages separately. One smart plan serves both. Build your depth first. Study each subject to the level Tier 2 demands, because that deeper understanding already contains everything Tier 1 will ever ask. The harder version always includes the easier one. Depth is the foundation, not a later add-on. In practice, this means your daily study should aim at Tier 2 difficulty from the very start: the full geometry, trigonometry, and algebra spine, the deeper vocabulary, the wider awareness. Then, in the weeks before each exam, You add short, timed Tier 1 drills to sharpen pure speed. You never study a topic twice. You simply change the gear you practice it in. Then, on top of that depth, add speed. Drill, shortcuts, practice selective solving, and take time sets so that the knowledge you already own can be delivered fast enough for Tier 1's 60-minute sprint. Done this way, there is no wasteful split in your studies. You learn each topic once, properly, and then simply train 2 different gears on the same engine. So the takeaway, build Tier 2 depth first, since it already contains Tier 1, and then layer speed on top. 1 preparation, 1 engine, 2 gears, both stages covered. Let us gather the whole class in one breath. 2 stages, 2 jobs. Tier 1 filters the crowd, Tier 2 selects the chosen. Tier 1 is 100 questions in 60 minutes, purely qualifying. Its marks never carry. Tier 2 carries 3 marks a question and builds the merit list that decides the job. Tier 1 rewards speed and selection. Tier 2 rewards depth and accuracy. The marking differs. Half a mark off in Tier 1, a full mark in Tier 2. And you prepare both together. Build depth first, then layer speed on top. Next class, the 4 core subjects, up close, 1 idea at a time. That is the real strategy of SSC. Speed to get in through Tier 1 and depth to win in Tier 2. Understand that difference, and you will spend your months on the right things while others exhaust themselves on the wrong ones. Build the depth, then train the clock, and both stages fall into place. We will see you in the next class.